Ladies and gentlemen, now let's hear from Susana Almeida. I'd like all of you to please join me in welcoming her on stage. A very warm welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much to IPA for the kind invitation to be here. It's really a pleasure to be amongst such distinguished speakers and all of you. My name is Susana Almeida, and I am the Secretary General of the International Generic and Biosimilar Medicines Association. And in case you are wondering what IGBA is, we're the international association of all of the generic and biosimilar medicines associations around the world. The IGBA was originally called IGBA, and it was founded in 1997. It was renamed International Generic and Biosimilar Medicines Association in 2015, and it's legally incorporated in Switzerland. IGBA was admitted as an ICH Assembly member in 2016, and afterwards in 2017 it has been a member of the ICH Management Committee. It's an accredited observer of the World Intellectual Property Organization, a non-state actor in official relationships with WHO, and it maintains a dialogue with many international organizations and also other national and regional bodies. Our members, as I said, include a vast number of associations around the world. We have full members, associate members, and observers, and we bring together the generic and biosimilar sector, and we focus really most of our discussions around the global aspects that impact our sector. If you're interested in some of the IGBA's activities, the CEO Advisory Committee met in Vienna in May earlier this year. You can find the press release that the CEO Advisory Committee issued at the time, and it has recently been re-elected as a member of the Management Committee of ICH, and that means a lot to us. The main subject of my talk here today is going to focus on international convergence, and it's very good to continue to be recognized by the ICH members as a valuable participant and contributor in the international process of harmonization. I said I was going to talk about single global development, and therefore it's important to set the stage of what that means. Currently, the generic and biosimilar medicines are not able to use a single data package when they want to register their products in most of the countries. Many jurisdictions enforce local requirements for the off-patent medicines to be registered. So when we talk about single global development, we mean enabling the off-patent medicines to prepare a single data package globally that's acceptable in all jurisdictions. And this would support a more timely and equitable access to affordable therapies. We should not forget that generic and biosimilar medicines treat most of the patients around the world when it comes to prescription medicines, and therefore the access component is extremely important. So why is it important that we talk about this now? If you look at the products and the pipelines of products around the world, you will see that there are more complex products, increasingly complex development programs, which further increase the cost of duplicating the clinical trials. There are niche therapeutics and orphan products. I remember when I'm a clinical pharmacologist, when I started my career, lung cancer was pretty much small cell lung cancer and non-small cell lung cancer. And these days, lung cancer is a wealth of different entities based on molecular subtypes. So what this means is that we are looking increasingly into personalized medicines, and there's a risk of fewer or no off-patent competitors for higher priced innovative medicines, which plays a critical role in the access to patients to affordable therapies. So single global development is essential for competition and patient access to complex products. And we must not forget that it's really fundamentally unethical to duplicate clinical trials because this involves superfluous experimentation in human subjects, and that's the Declaration of Helsinki. So another myth that we come across frequently is the idea that developing generics is an easy process. It's really a very vast landscape of complexity where you can start with simple immediate release generics with bioequivalence studies performed in healthy subjects. But as the complexity of the products increases and we start talking about modified release products or long-acting injectables or inhalers up to biosimilars, we're actually talking about very difficult development processes for these products. And therefore, we must not forget that there is a link between this and patient access. The regulatory processes and requirements influence the development timelines and the costs of development and all of the resources. And if we face different requirements between the various countries, this will delay or inhibit patient access to medicines. The reason for this is because we face increasing development timelines and increasing resources for that development. Another aspect that we must not forget, we saw this during the COVID pandemic. Sometimes it's necessary to strengthen the supply chains during emergencies. And single global development reinforces the agility and robustness of the supply chains of quality assured medicines. Different regulatory requirements will limit and restrict access to patients during crisis, and this is also a factor that should be considered. Also playing a role in drug shortages. So, essentially, the rationale is that timely access to affordable therapies is now more important than ever. The number of patients that require treatment is constantly increasing, and the health budgets face very big constraints. And therefore, it's very important to streamline the product development to increase patient access to more affordable and quality assured medicines. So this brings us to the topic of regulatory convergence. Single global development requires three things to advance simultaneously. The harmonization of these standards for development. For generic products, we're talking about the bioequivalence standards, the legal frameworks within each country or region, and having some criteria for acceptance of foreign comparator products. Regarding the harmonization of bioequivalence, this is a topic that's very dear to me and very close to my heart. I am one of the experts that is part of the expert working group at ICH that is drafting the next bioequivalence, the harmonized bioequivalence guideline. So this is ongoing and advancing. The first international guideline, the draft was released in September 2022. The expert working group is now working on finalizing the M13A guideline, and this is being done at ICH level. So before we had a scenario where all of the regions and countries were handling their own bioequivalence guidelines. It was really a complicated approach. And now, due to harmonization and convergence, we will finally see an international guideline that will approximate the criteria for bioequivalence in all of the regions who follow ICH guidelines. And this sounds like a terribly difficult process, and it is painful at times, especially being a member of this group. Harmonization is not easy, but it's fundamentally driven by science. And if we build science-driven guidelines, then the criteria will be possible to be accepted by the various regions. Now, does harmonization matter? The picture you're seeing here comes from an international survey that was conducted recently. And the question was, does harmonization of bioequivalence matter? And the overwhelming response is that it matters a lot. So 96% agree or strongly agree on the importance of harmonized international approach for complex generics. And this is very important because it sends a clear signal that it is a fundamental step that has to be taken. This survey was not only directed at industry participants, it included academics and various picture of different people, and the message was very clear, and we should reflect upon it. Now, this takes me to the second pillar, which is the legal framework. It is necessary to assess at the country or regional level if the framework allows for the use of foreign comparator products, and possible barriers should be addressed, because predictability is very important for the industry. When you're establishing your development pipelines, you have to be very confident that what you're going to do is going to be acceptable, preferably in multiple regions. And legislation is a key enabler of single global development. And then finally, the last point, okay, let's say the legislation allows for single global development and foreign reference products to be used in comparisons and bioequivalence trials, and that there's a harmonized standard, a guideline specifying how you have to conduct your bioequivalence studies. Then the next question is, which foreign comparators would be acceptable? And for this, a guideline is needed. It should be based on scientific criteria, and the conditions of acceptability of foreign comparators should be determined there. And this can be done by local competent authorities, or regionally, or internationally under the various fora that exist for regulatory convergence. So now I'm going to pause here to share a personal detail with you. I am a diver. I've been a diver for many years. And back a few years ago, I took an interest in cave diving. Those are pictures that were taken. That's me in Mexico. And when I started taking an interest in cave diving, I thought, well, I should look at this seriously because it's one of the most dangerous sports in the world. So how can I do this? And the basic answer to this is that you learn from those with experience. The book you see on the right was written in the 70s by someone called Czech Hexley, and it's basically called Blueprint for Survival. It's a set of 5 rules that establish what you should be doing when you're going into an overhead environment and in a cave to make sure that you minimize the chances that something serious will happen to you. So we should think about this and look at the landscape around us and see who is actually doing this. There was, in 2019, there was an interesting publication by a coalition of regulators called IPRP, and they did a survey on the acceptance of foreign comparator products around their membership. So most of what you see in this table was back in that publication. You see that many countries already accept the use of foreign comparator products. Since then, the United Kingdom has left the European Union, so the little column in blue there, we added it. But basically what you can see here is that already many countries accept the use of foreign comparator products. And these are sophisticated regulatory systems, so there must be a way. And the way they do it currently is not harmonized within the countries that do this. There are various criteria that can be defined and need to be followed, but essentially the concept is there. This can be done. If you're interested in an example of how this can be done, this is the Swiss MEDIC guideline that establishes how foreign comparator products can be used for registration in Switzerland. So this really brings me to the conclusions of my talk. Why is single global development important for off-patent medicines? because it avoids redundant and unethical clinical trials. It helps increase patient access to generic medicines. And you should think that this may also play a role for orphan drugs or complex generics. It also contributes to competition and therefore increases access. And competition, healthy competition, is very important because we hear in most of the discussions and conferences that shortages are an important thing happening today that hinders patient access. And if you have healthy competition, an ecosystem of quality assured products that can be used, the impact of potential shortages may be less relevant. Single global development also leverages the benefits of harmonizing bioequivalence standards. As I said, I am very committed to bioequivalence standards. It's my passion, and I've worked on this topic for many years. But unless we can use foreign comparator products, we have harmonized standards, but we still have to repeat the trials. So it is important that we think that to leverage the benefits of harmonization, this is the next logical step. For many years, whenever I brought this topic up in various discussions, I would hear, but why do you want to discuss the acceptance of foreign comparators? Because bioequivalence is not harmonized, so you still have to repeat the studies. Well, that argument is going to be over soon, so it's time that we address this fundamental piece of that's standing in the way of single global development. Single global development also helps to overcome challenges in sourcing of comparator products, which is a real problem in some of the regions because in some cases it's very difficult to access the local comparator product. And finally, it enables regulatory reliance and mutual recognition agreements. So it's really a very logical thing to do. So how do we move forward? We need to continue to advance harmonization, dialogue, and international convergence. My esteemed previous speaker brought up the ICTRA conference in October that will take place in Delhi. We need really to get the regulators to sit at the table and discuss possibly, if possible, with the input of also the other stakeholders. This is extremely important. So I really commend India for taking such an important role in this important event. And then we need to have, this can be done locally or jointly. Regions and countries need to assess their legal framework. We need to move forward in cases where there are no legal barriers. And if there are legal barriers, these should be addressed because, as I said before, legislation is an enabler of single global development and access. And finally, we need to define criteria, ideally common criteria if possible, for acceptance of foreign comparators in the form of guidelines. And as I said, there's really great work out there that can be used as an inspiration for those who are interested in advancing this topic. So thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Susana. Please stay with us as I welcome Mr. Ranga Chandrasekhar to please join us back on stage for the Q&A session. The forum is now open for questions. If you have a question, please stand up and we'll bring the mic to you. And would request you to please state your name and organization before asking the question. So.
Hi. Hello. So just in terms of the global development, common global development, you stated that it is more related to off-patent medicines, right? So when there is a discrepancy in the patent timelines, how are you addressing that in terms of making as many products meet this particular platform of a global development?
Thank you for your question. And you rightfully point out that there are regulatory aspects and non-regulatory aspects in the discussion around product development. Single global development is important for off-patent products because it's not possible currently for off-patent products. The originator products use single global development, and if you look at for the recent products, I'm not talking about very old products. For recent products, if you look at the approval package in various regions, you will see, for example, that the pivotal trials tend to be the same. So they do use single global development. The question about patents is connected but is independent from this. Of course, there are patents in the various regions, and it occurs that the end of the patent life for the originator is not the same everywhere. So this is one of the reasons why for IGBA a balanced IP system is very important because patents are necessary to protect innovation, and innovation is what drives forward also the off-patent industry. If the originators stop innovating, we don't have any new generic and biosimilar products in the future. So this is an important aspect. But it's also equally important that the quality of the patents is high, so that the patents are not abused and explored to prolong the protection and exclusivity beyond what's reasonable. So the two factors have to be taken into consideration. Of course, patents need to be respected, again, with a caveat that they should be of good quality and the patent systems should be balanced. If there are different expiry dates of patents in different regions, then those are just the rules of the game. But this does not prevent that the same data package could be used for registration once it is possible from an IP perspective to register the products.
Okay, thank you for that. I just have one follow-up. There is already an access consortium for the brand companies where multiple countries have accepted a common data package. And of course, it is easier for them because they do a clinical study which can be global in nature and can address the local requirements. If something like this happen, of course, it will be a great relief for the generic industry. And second point I wanted to make or ask a question is, this really is a challenge for complex products. When there is a fundamental difference of the European requirement, which is a clinical-based bioequivalence versus a US-based, which is more in terms of extensive characterization of some molecules. How do you bridge this fundamental difference between two countries?
Thank you for that question. I think you might be inside my mind because you're prompting all of the right things I want to say. Harmonization of bioequivalence has started, but we are only seeing M13 guideline series is about immediate release products. It doesn't cover modified release, it doesn't cover the more complex products. And in my opinion, it is critical that we move forward with a harmonization of the other types of products. And in fact, ICH has already adopted a new topic for the harmonization of bioequivalence for modified release products. M13 is a series of guidelines. We're finishing M13A towards the final text. We're developing M13B, which is strength biowaivers, and then we have M13C, which is more complex statistical topics. And once this is completed, we will move forward to the harmonization of modified release products. And in my view, once we're done with the general aspects of modified release products, we have to tackle other types of products and bioequivalence. I'm just in no particular order. We have products like inhalers, where the requirements are very different across the various regions. And it is fundamental that we harmonize all of these products, all of these requirements, because as you say, their development is very complex. And until we tackle this, we will not be able to have a single data package everywhere. And this is also the reason why I thought it was worthwhile mentioning at the beginning that IGBA is a member of ICH and of the management committee of ICH. And this is extremely valuable to us because it means that we can be part of the main discussions that set the course of where ICH is going. And this is an opportunity that as generic industry, we cannot miss. And I'd like to publicly appreciate the work of all of the experts that on behalf of IGBA, some from your companies, are working hard in the topics of harmonization at ICH. This is very, very important for us.
Thank you so much. I am sorry, sir. In the interest of time, we got 3 in 1 question. I am extremely sorry. We will have them. We will have them during the break. You can ask the questions that time because we have another speaker coming up in the interest of the conference timeline.
I shall request to Ranga because he is our regulator.
Yes,
and this is a very direct question. We are the pharmacy of the world and the biggest democracy. We can expect any stringent provision or legislation like US FDA, like imprisonment or debarment in case of the gross violation of GMPs. Recently, such events happened in India, due to which the companies who are meticulously complying with the regulations, they are also getting impacted. What is your vision?
See, the current law already addresses this situation. For serious violations where any drug is causing grievous hurt or death. So the punishment is up to imprisonment up to life. So the provisions are there. Only the issue is that all the manufacturers should appreciate these provisions and go for compliance of the requirements. Having said that, so we are trying to what we say is that go together along with the states. Each state has their own issues with respect to capacities that of the inspectorate and the monitoring or regulatory oversight. So with these amendments that we are looking at, what I have said and what is proposed to be done, so we are trying to have better coordination, or instead of being a recommendatory, it would be a mandatory role of both the agencies, that the state and the CDSCO. Then I think whatever the issue that you have raised, so that would be addressed more effectively rather than what it is being today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, ma'am. Thank you very much.